Kinpira is a Japanese cooking method that yields delightful results. The Kinpira Renkon that you see here was voted best ever by my dining guests. Stick around to find out how. Hello everyone, I'm Anthony the Eclectic Chef. Welcome back to my kitchen. Well, today we're going to do Kinpira 3 ways, Japanese dish, vegetables. What's Kinpira, you may well ask? Well, it's a cooking method as opposed to a sauce like teriyaki. So in Kinpira, it's a mixture of saute and simmer. And what are we going to simmer these various items in? So we're going to use some shoyu, Japanese soy sauce, mirin, some people add a little extra sugar, I won't, sake, sesame seeds. They'll be sauteed with some sesame oil added because sesame flavors really kind of required in Kinpira. And we'll also be adding some togarashi spice, which is quite a peppery Japanese spice mix, and that again is very typical of Kinpira. Now, Kinpira is both a cooking style and a person. Kinpira was a character in Jururi opera, going back a few hundred years, by the way. He was a Paul Bunyan-esque type of figure with legendary strength and bravery, which actually is reflected in the food spiced with togarashi. We're doing this 3 ways today. First, the traditional, if you like, way is gobo, burdock root, and carrot. Now, that's usually done matchsticked. I'm doing it in ribbons today, and we'll talk about why I do that in the individual parts of this video. If you understand why I'm doing that, you might make some notes in the comments. And let me know, by the way, too, in the comments, if you've ever eaten Kinpira before. Second style, Kinpira Renkon. Now look, I went off the reservation on this one a little bit, but the Kinpira Renkon was probably one of the biggest hits I've ever had served to dinner guests. They went absolutely mad over it. So let me know what you think of that little diversion too in the comments. And lastly, we're doing Kinpira parsnip. And I'll have to step back so you can see the book, which I got from the excellent book Washuku by Elizabeth Ando. It's a book worth getting if you're really interested both in Washuku and Japanese cuisine. So with that, let's get started, and various things go on during the video, so let me know what you think of this at the end in the comments and if you're going to give it a try. Okay folks, Kinpira style number 1, what I will loosely call traditional, gobo, root and carrot. Now, usually these are sliced and cut into matchsticks before cooking, but today I thought we'd try making ribbons. Why? Because they'll cook up just as well and be as tasty. We used a peeler for this. I thought about using my mandolin, but it's just too much trouble to get it out of the shelf, and this peeler works quite well. But cooking ribbons like this when we're serving for people who may not be as adept with chopsticks as others makes it easier for them to pick them up, and they'll taste just as good. So we'll show you when we're cooking these, and also when we move on to Kinpira number 2. And after we finished all these slices or shreds, gobo, burdock root and carrot, the traditional Kinpira, we are going to put them in some acidulated water. This has cider vinegar to stop them going brown or discolouring. We'll come back to these again when we're ready to cook them. Next, folks, Kinpira number 2, Kinpira Renkon. Lotus root. I don't have time today to show you the fancy knife work around to accentuate the holes. We'll do that another day. I have guests bearing down on me, so I need to get a move on, but I think this is going to look great. It also cooks down very well in the Kinpira sauce, soaks it all up, and then holds a great deal of flavour. So now Kinpira number 3. And Kinpira number 3, guys, comes from Elizabeth Ando's excellent book, Washoku. Oh, I've seen it mentioned elsewhere, where we make a Kinpira from parsnip. I've sliced these fairly vigorously across the grain. We're going to make matchsticks from these. I'll show you. We're just going to cut it. You can either cut a bias or a cross, but we're going to matchstick these and make Kinpira that way, which is the traditional cut, by the way. So there's our third Kinpira way. I'll show you what this looks like when we've matchsticked it. So here are our parsnip matchsticks ready for Kinpira. Now, you can critique me if you like for making fairly large matchsticks for this Kinpira, and indeed I did. But recall my comment about preparing Kinpira for people, Western guests, who aren't always going to be hugely adept with chopsticks. It's not your job to embarrass your guests, because if they can't pick your food up, not only do they find it hard to eat, it embarrasses them, and that is not what we do to our guests. So we deliberately made these a size where people are going to be able to easily grab them with chopsticks. With that, let's move on to cooking the Kinpira, and we're actually going to start with these. Okay, so here are the components of our Kinpira sauce. We're going to start off with some soy sauce. This goes for a bolder flavour, tamari, but reduced salt. We're going to start the frying with a little added sesame oil for flavour. Then we'll add some sake and mirin. Towards the end, we'll add some sashimi, togarashi, citrus, rind, chilies, and so on. Maybe sprinkle some sesame seeds in at the end, which is traditional for Kinpira. Okay, with that, let's get started on the parsnips. We're just starting off the saute on the parsnip. I hesitate to call them matchsticks, but you get the picture. I have to be careful here because parsnip has one of the highest sugar levels of any root vegetable, so these will brown pretty quickly. That's why, by the way, parsnip chips do so well in the oven for serving with beef. So we'll saute these down, and I'll show you the Kinpira sauce when we add it in to simmer them down and soak up. Added our sake, mirin, tamari and spices to the parsnip, and we're just going to reduce this until all the sauce is nearly cooked in and absorbed by the parsnips. I don't think it will take that long. These already have sesame in, so I don't know if we'll add too many extras. So here are our carrot and gobo strips, my unorthodox Kinpira slicing, which will saute down until they're really nice and soft and cooked through. Then we'll add our liquids to soak in and flavour the vegetables. Here's the ribbon Kinpira done. All the liquids absorbed. Looks good, not traditional, but as I said, it's easier for guests to pick up with chopsticks. Here we are getting started on the Kinpira Renkon. This lotus root is already supposed to be steamed, so we won't need to cook it that much before putting in the Kinpira sauce. I should warn you, I'm going off the reservation a bit on this one, Those of you who know the channel won't be surprised by that. I have a kind of different flavour to try here, even though it'll still be Kinpira. That was the tamari, and here's the sake. And now the sashimi togarashi. Mix it all together with our tongs, and I think we're good to go. Seeing how many sesame seeds there are, it's pre-prepared seasoning. I don't think we'll need to add any extra. So here's our off the reservation Kinpira Renkon, where instead of using mirin, I added 5 mashed up umaboshi, Japanese pickled plums, and some sweet plum wine in addition to the sake, soy sauce and other spices, sesame seeds that we added. I think this is going to work out absolutely splendidly. The sauce is thickening up beautifully and it has a lovely aroma. To a different flavour, but still Kinpira style, so I'm quite proud of this. Here we go, folks. Kinpira 3 ways. Go bone carrot, Kinpira Renkon, which we amended with a little bit of plum and plum wine, and Kinpira parsnip from a respected Japanese cookbook. Let's serve these up and see how the guests like them.